What is going on, everybody? So I am back today to not talk about a film, but I'm going to talk about an entire series of television. And I'm probably the last person in the world who has interest in this series that has finally got around to watching it. It's been on air for a few years now. I know we're waiting on production of the third season, and this is going to be the TV show Euphoria that's on HBO. It is produced by A24, and I was really excited to watch this when it was first announced because I'd heard nothing but like glaringly positive reviews about this show and just like the filmmaking style and the performances. And I just was really excited to know that A24 were involving themselves in a television show. And I do know that there's been some like backlash about like some of the way that characters are portrayed in the show. I'm not all too familiar with like everything that's gone on with it, but I know a lot of the actors are still really passionate about the project, and I'm looking forward to talking about it today. And the series I'm going to be discussing is Euphoria. Euphoria follows the troubled life of 17-year-old Rue, a drug addict fresh from rehab with no plans to stay clean. She meets young girl Jules, and the two of them form an unlikely bond as they both try to navigate the complexities of high school. So I really didn't know anything about this show when I went to watch it. I knew that Zendaya was in it. I knew that Schaefer was in it. I knew Maud Apatow was in it. And that is pretty much it. I knew that it was a high school drama that involved drug addiction in one way or the other. And this quickly became one of the best television shows I've ever seen. I'm honestly kind of shocked that it took me this long to watch this. This is a performance-driven masterpiece. The character acting in this is like some of the best that I've seen in a TV show in a very, very long time. And that's saying a lot because I like a lot of TV shows that I watch, but I'm hard pressed to absolutely love a TV show. And this was like no time was wasted in any episode. And it really just goes to show how the creators of the show really want to convey very specific messages and utilize the 8-episode runtimes in the best way that they possibly can be. And this show just does it flawlessly. The cinematography in this thing is like absolutely mind-blowing for a television show, and clearly A24 gives them the budget they need to pull off some of these really insane shots and sequences that have existed through both seasons of the show. But yeah, I really love this a lot, and despite like some of the problems that I have with it, and obviously Sam Levinson, he's in his late 30s and he's writing a show about high schoolers, so there are a lot of times in the show that I feel like that can bleed through in some of like the referential stuff where it's like, okay, it's clear that like high schoolers probably wouldn't be into some of these things. But once you can kind of push that out of your mind, I think that this show really kind of explores the universal high school experience in a way that works really well. Obviously, there's a lot of like elevated drama that's not going to exist for every single human being, but I think it encapsulates the flaws of human beings in a way that works so perfectly. He can create a character that you absolutely despise for multiple episodes, but then they have a moment where you feel really deep empathy for the character and just kind of flip on a dime, which I think takes a really great writer to be able to do that, even throughout a television series, to have someone who you absolutely despise where you still have a moment that you just feel for them, and understanding that human beings are very multifaceted. People aren't just one thing. And so like I think having characters that he does definitely villainize early on and then give them some sort of arc that makes you feel for them later on in the series is really great. But as far as performances go, I really want to shout out the two stars of the show. Zendaya and Schaefer give two of the best performances that I've ever seen in a TV show. Zendaya playing a 17-year-old drug addict who has lost her father to cancer and continues to relapse over and over again because she just doesn't know what she wants with her life, and she doesn't feel like her life is worth continuing living. And I think that it's so well done, showing how irritating and upsetting it is to watch someone that you care for continue to ruin their own life because of drug addiction and continuing to fall fall into that because it is a mental thing. It is in your brain. Drug addiction is something that is so hard for people to control. Once you fall into that as a source of comfort, once your brain gets to a point where you realize that that is the only way that you can process your grief and your trauma, and it's an alleviation of every horrible thing in your life, it's impossible to pretty much turn your back and go the other way. And I think they do a really great job at making you care so deeply for Rue's character that when she does these horrible things because she's either been without drugs for a long period of time, or she's like pressuring people to give her drugs, I think Zendaya's performance really kind of just draws you in and attaches you to her struggle in a way that is so beautiful. It really is just mind-blowing. There are moments in this show that her performance just like had my jaw on the floor. Just absolutely amazing. I'm so glad that she's getting a ton of acting work because she is just really an incredibly talented actress. And this show just kind of shows her entire like array of just talent as an actress, especially when it comes to like doing these really intense dramatic sequences while also giving you some really funny moments that show how great of a comedic actress that she can be as well. And I think having that dichotomy as an actor is something that's really important, and her performance in this is stellar. And then I want to talk about Hunter Schaefer's performance, who just absolutely is phenomenal in this. Not only does she also do just such an amazing job at those dramatic highs and lows, but showing the experience of a trans person in high school, it's really done well in this, at just kind of navigating your life and trying to find where you belong. Her longing to live in a big city outside of this small town because she knows that she'll be more accepted in that circle of friends. She wants to pursue art. There's all these things that she wants to do with her life. And you know, the struggle of trans people right now is such a difficult thing, where we have so many states passing legislation against gender affirming care. And I think it's really important for television and for media to really put the transgender experience out there, so that people that might not seek that out or might not, you know, try to be more educated about it can get it through something else. And I think Hunter Schaefer's character really shows how difficult the trans experience is and how hard it is just to find your place and fit in, but also show like the beautiful moments in your group of friends and like the moments where you feel the most at one with yourself and the most at peace with yourself. And like the character of her father is really accepting of her and cares very deeply for her. And we find out that her mother went through drug addiction, and so her attachment to Rue is really interesting because the two of those characters kind of come together when they need each other most. And even though Hunter Schaefer's character has been negatively impacted by a family member that's gone through drug addiction, the two of them really are there for each other in the moments that they need each other. And I think those performances are just absolutely brilliant. But everyone else in the show does a phenomenal job. I could do an entire video just breaking down each performance. I think even Maude Apatow in the second season, where they really started to utilize her character more, is just absolutely phenomenal in this show. Just really does a great job at, like, she's kind of a background character for the first season, and then when she starts to come into play a little bit more in the second season, they really give her time to shine, and I think that she really is fantastic. Sydney Sweeney as Cassie is fantastic. I think that her character arc has been one that's really interesting. Jacob Elordi as Nate Jacobs is one of the most evil characters that I have ever seen in a television show. His performance is horrifying. It constantly just makes me feel unsettled, leaves me on the edge of my seat after every single episode. Just truly one of the most vile, despicable human beings ever written in a TV show, and that's all due to his really fantastic performance. Alexa Demi as Maddie is fantastic. I could continue to go on about every single one of these cast members and make a 30-minute video, but this is just simply saying the cast of this show is phenomenal. They all do a really amazing job. Also, Angus Cloud as Fezco, one of my favorite characters in the entire show. So well written. His entire backstory being fleshed out was great. And I think there's something in this show for everyone. And while the show is very sexually explicit, I know that a lot of people talk about that. I think that that's kind of pertinent to society as a whole right now. I think that, you know, we live in a society that is hypersexualized, and like there are moments where maybe it goes a little far in people's opinions, but like as far as like what we hear about high school experience now, it doesn't really shock me all that much that all of that is included, especially like the alcohol use at parties, the drug abuse, like all of that feels very parallel to real life. And I just really love this show a lot. I think that it is so well done. I think it's incredibly thought provoking. I think it's very moving, and I really look forward to watching the new seasons whenever they're released. So have you seen Euphoria? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Leave me a comment down below and let me know what you thought. I think this show is absolutely brilliant. One of my favorite things I've watched in a long time, and I can't wait to watch more. As always, if you like the video and subscribe to the channel, helps me out a lot and lets me know the type of content you're looking for. I'm always putting out new material and look forward to getting more out for you in the near future. And as always, everyone, thank you so much for watching, and have a great rest of your day.